DDG, episode 167. My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swick.
How's it going, Dave? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm kind of excited. We got like some decent gaming news, some of my favorite subjects, some of your least favorite subjects. So doing pretty good. Waiting for my next big game to play. I don't really. I know you have Destiny. It sounds like it kind of turned the corner for you from your tweets and Facebooks, but definitely something. I'm looking for my next big game, and I'm hoping something comes out in the next couple weeks that gets me on stuff. But till then, I'm fine watching all the news that's been dropping the last couple weeks.
Yeah. So obviously we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday on podcast services. If you're able to leave us a review on your service, that's helpful. If you haven't left us a review, please check and see if you can. And if you can, that would be awesome. As well as we stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/digitaldaysgaming, where we are a Twitch affiliate. So you can subscribe to us, whether that's through Prime Gaming or just you want to just straight subscribe to us. Either is great and appreciated. Just make sure if you have Prime Gaming, you use your Twitch sub on somebody. Don't let it just sit there and go to waste. Other than that, everything else is linked in the show notes. Join our Discord, join the Facebook group, whichever is your fancy. We have, you can follow us on Twitter, social medias, and all of those fun things. So with that, we're going to jump right into the news.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Covering from a cold still. The first bit of news is the PS5 got its big firmware update, and the main thing, obviously, is Discord integration is now there. You now will be able to push Discord calls from your phone to your console. Other things on there that I thought were important. You can now update your controllers wirelessly, which is one of my biggest pet peeves.
Allegedly. This has never worked during the beta for me. It
worked for me today. I did turn on,
okay.
It worked twice because 2 controllers needed updates.
Yeah.
So it did work, and it didn't take long, thank God. VRR support, variable refresh rate support, so now you can, if your TV supports the ability to go to 1440p, you can do that now. And then better game lists, organization abilities were added in terms of being able to separate PS5, PS4 games, PSVR 2, PSVR games. So organization stuff is really good. Though, when I saw that, Dave, I cracked me up the idea that someone might have both VR and VR2 hooked up to their PS5 because they
at the same time.
This kind of cracked me up.
At this point in time, you have to have like a powered USB brick hanging off the back of your PlayStation. Like if you want a dongled headphone, VR1, VR2 sticking out the front. I guess the only win is that you don't have to have the USB-C cable sticking out of there to update your controllers.
I'm sure Nyko, if there's still a company that exists, has like a weird hub adapter that just like face plates onto the PS5 by now with like several USB and USB-C hubs.
Somebody does. I've seen it because it kind of makes that V look when it's vertical.
That's God. I used to be someone who would buy like stupid adapters like that for like the PS3, and then I realized
remember the PS4, like if you wanted the extra hard drive, like the PC hard drive, it looked like your PlayStation 4 had a tumor on top of it.
Yeah, because I had like the 8 terabyte thing.
Yeah. I went to a Nyko booth and they had the extension that went over like the faceplate, and then they had that thing that you could charge your controllers and you set it on, and your console ended up looking like a Smash Brothers arena, like that you'd be fighting on because it had like.
And then they always had the shitty like extra fans that were supposed to help you.
They're like how many things can we attach to this system? On top of the fact that all of it probably vibrated like crazy. Like I can't imagine somebody that had like the Nyko fans on the back, the hard drive extension, the controller chargers on top, and then like playing God of War Ragnarok or something like that. Like just hearing your console just go.
I gotta tell Dave about one of my fetishes. That's a weird way to phrase it.
Wow.
Guilty pleasure. And that's watching YouTube videos where people do buy all of those stupid accessories and put them on their PS5. And
Tower of Power stuff.
Yeah, and you just get this weird Frankenstein thing that looks like you built it in your garage. Like, you're like, I swear there's a PS5 under all those stupid things I don't need.
Some of them are bad enough as it is now, like not even just Nyko, but like those, I don't know what the brand is, that Glow Tech or something like that, where like the base glows and you can like put your disc, you can put your PS5 cases, you have a spot to stick your controller. I think it got to the extent of one of them, like it could hold your Move controllers, it could hold your DualShock 4s, it could hold the PlayStation, it could hold games. You had to put the controllers upside down so the wings were sticking up. Like,
God. Some of it's really bad.
Here I am just wanting to get like, can I just get the little cap covers and the magnetic charger so I can just like not think about it and just attach it like on the end table of in my living room.
Yeah, just want to keep it simple, and then everyone's like, no, let's just throw everything on it. Oh, you can hold 3 game cases on the thing as well.
If it wasn't for like heat factoring, I would like put my consoles like in a cabinet and like my digital console in a cabinet and close it up and never open it. Like,
God, I know someone who did keep their PS4 in a cabinet, and they had never like opened the cabinet after it had been turned off, and when they opened it, the amount of heat that came off of it.
I would be totally content with like a really nice entertainment center that I could put the console in there, close it so you didn't know I had one, but then of course I would like cut the back open more so it could breathe.
Yeah.
Like,
other features,
not the back of the not the back of the console, by the way, like the back of the cabinet.
Yeah. So other features, since we just went on a tangent, is the ability to like pick and choose what you upload to the phone app for captures. Currently, it was just automatically setting everything up. Now you can, pick and choose. And I think this means that you can, I haven't tested it today, but you can upload older screenshots and videos to the app as opposed to having.
That's been nice. Like I didn't think I'd use that as much as I did, but it's nice to just take the picture right then and there, not worry about uploading it to Twitter. Constantly for a long time, I was uploading something to Twitter, then saving the picture on my phone, deleting the tweet, and then making a new tweet with the words that I wanted to, and then reposting the picture. But it was almost like you just had to get it out there. So that's good. I mean, the main thing for this, which I'm sure you were going to get to, was the Discord functionality.
Yes.
I was on the beta. We had a bunch of people that I play Destiny with that I was fortunate enough. A couple community members gave me codes. The codes had 4 uses, 5 uses, something like that. So we had some people testing this on a pretty regular basis. And it works. And it works really well. It is a little irritating to start the call on your phone, but you don't even have to join the chat room on your phone. You can just click the room, and then before you hit join voice, you can pull the menu up and click your PlayStation and join, and then it pops up on your PlayStation. That's like the Discord logo pops up on your PlayStation, and then you're in. What I actually like about it is that on my phone itself, I can independently go into the chat that I'm already in and adjust individual volumes, which is great. You can mute people individually, and the reason why I like that is because it's on my phone, and I'm not digging around in the menus of the PlayStation 5, which can be a little clunky when you go to Game Base, go to the party, click on the name, turn them down, versus opening the Discord, press and hold on their Discord image, and just adjust them manually like that. I like it.
Yeah.
So this is really good. Crossplay functionality, PC players, Xbox players, PlayStation players now can play a game. And we can obviously set up multiple voice rooms, and like I would love to open our Discord server up one day and just see like 3 separate voice rooms being used by like, even if it's just 2 people piece.
Yeah. And I'm hoping, obviously it's going to evolve over time to where hopefully you'll be able to like not have to like push the call to your console, because that's currently what you have to do. That's how they so yeah. I'm hoping
that is an unnecessary step, but it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it would.
Oh no, it does. But I would still love to just have my servers there, and a console that I haven't used my phone. But that's where Xbox started, and Xbox evolved over time. And I'm assuming the same case will be for PlayStation. Other things in this, they're making it easier to access your PS4 saves. So now when you load a PS4 game, the system will tell you like, "Hey, you have a save in the cloud. Do you want to use that save and download it?" I think that's super helpful. That's something that like Xbox has been able to do.
Yeah, I am
PC.
constantly getting, whenever I turn my PlayStation on, like, we cannot move your Uncharted Legacy save over. Like, I'm getting an error, like, constantly. So I hope that some of this little weird stuff that was maybe happening that the PS5 was having a hard time identifying are getting cleaned up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it didn't fix my bug that has been happening to my PS5 since January, where I can connect to the internet, but I can connect to PSN, but for whatever reason, the system is like, you're not on PSN. What are you talking about? And then I have to like do a speed test, and then it's like, oh, no, you're good now.
Yeah, I get this thing when I download games, like I get like catastrophic error or something too.
That's
like
happened to me a couple times.
Yeah, it's like where you like go to walk away from something. On top of the fact that the speeds I think have gotten slower.
They have
on my PS5. And to be fair and to be honest, I haven't downloaded stuff on the Xbox like recently because I'll download a Game Pass game from my phone.
Painful.
Yeah, I'll just download it from my phone on the Xbox, and then I come home and it's ready to go. For the most part. But overall, like, you know, like as the firmware is evolving, like these things are good. I really like the fact that it's going to be wireless updates. I like the Discord update to it. I think the VRR support is great if you have a display that supports that. And then better game lists are always a good thing. So I know some people I heard with VR2, they were confused because of the lack of backwards compatibility of like them not realizing that, Moss is on VR2 if you buy the VR2 version of Moss, you know.
Yeah, and this will clear that up. And also another thing that I don't know if it was listed in the blog post, but you can now, if you own a disc version of a game and you have that installed and then you buy the digital version, it doesn't make you delete the data from the disc one. It just lets you play the game before.
Okay.
I don't know if that's an issue you've really run into, Dave.
Well, I have a discless PlayStation, so no.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But no, I have heard that. Like, we've heard about that where, like, okay, you bought Uncharted 4 on disc, and then it's part of the PS Plus collection, and you download it, and it still wants the disc.
Yeah, and then you have to delete the disc and then download the game again. It's one of those weird things that they finally just found a way to resolve, which is good, especially now that the discs aren't actually holding anything. They just download everything to your system anyways. This is just a nice thing. I don't know about you, Dave. I mean, you just kind of said everything you're happy with, but I feel like this is like one of the best updates that PlayStation's done for their consoles in terms of like the amount of things that they improved and added.
Yeah, this is truly like a for the players update. Like, they're making it easier for the players. So like they've, you know, like this is something that they've been doing. These are things that people have been asking for. I don't use them, but like, do we have folder integration now?
Kinda.
Okay.
It's not quite folders.
I think that would be the next thing.
The fact that you can like move things or like you can sort by genre a little bit better now and platform, it really helps. I think you might be able to create some sort of folder now, but they're getting there. Which is nice.
I've gotten to the point now where I don't go in the library when I re-download something. I go to the PlayStation Store and I search the game, and I know that I have it. And then I like when I find the game, I click on it on the store and it says download.
Yeah, or play.
Yeah,
if it's already there. Yeah. These type of moves, especially with how they're handling like PS4 stuff to PS5, is making me look more at getting like internal storage for mine, because
I got a stupid deal on mine. That's why I bought it. Like, I found some price error on GameStop. Like I think I paid like $150 for a 2 terabyte stick. So.
Yeah, and there is a sale right now for like a Crosshair one or Crosshair, and it was like $80 for like a 1 terabyte, and I'm like, that's not bad. Like, I almost pulled the trigger, but holding out still. But these type of moves make me more like likely to do that, and then I can retire the external SSD that I have plugged into it right now. But we'll move on. Starfield finally has a release date. This technically should be in what's delayed, but Starfield is coming out.
Should it? Just because they windowed it? They never dated it.
Window, the first half 2023. This is coming out on September 6th. So Starfield's coming out, Xbox, PC, Game Pass, all that shit, on September 6th. And then they are doing a Starfield Direct on June 11th. And I believe they made it clear that this is separate from whatever other conference they're doing that week or that day. Because this is going to be taking place in between Summer Game Fest and E3. So this gives hope that there's like, hey, there might be some big announcements if they're moving Starfield away from their press conference. But yeah, Starfield has a date. New trailer dropped. Didn't really see a ton, but this was mostly just give us some dates.
Are you surprised by this date? Because this is right where I expected it to be in my mind.
This is where I expected it to be, but they were very clear like a month ago, like first half. And they're not missing it by a lot. They're only missing it by like 2.5 months.
I get it. It's March. Like it's March now. So like we like in Redfall is early May, and something else is coming from Xbox too. Like this, like in June, I feel like, or I could be mistaken. But this gives Redfall time to breathe, and it gives Starfield time to breathe.
Yeah, and it also gives them a holiday game because I don't believe they have any holiday
game. This kind of game has to come in September and October. It has to.
Yeah, this is an
big of a game. Yeah.
Okay.
You don't release Fallout in May.
You don't unless you have something bigger.
Yeah.
On the table, and I don't think there's anything bigger than Starfield at Xbox. This will put pressure on like Sony to like date Spider-Man, but now we can probably put Spider-Man of like maybe
October 15th. Yep.
Yeah. Because they'll probably want to stay clear of Starfield. And this is also going to be a true test for Xbox in terms of like, is this going to allow Xbox to like first off win the NPDs for September? And will this game explode on Game Pass in terms of like record subscribers coming to Game Pass for it? And that's going to be very important to them. So like the fact that they're starting the holiday season kind of tells you like they're hoping they can set a pace.
Right. So for me, this event in June is important for Xbox. Like for this event to go well, because the last time we saw Starfield, it didn't go well. And again, I have no intention of playing this game. I might just mess with it because I'll have it available. Yeah, I have it available on Game Pass, so I might mess with it. I have no intention of playing this game unless something happens in it that hooks me immediately. I don't see that, but never say never. And then I feel like at this point in time, Game Pass or not Game Pass, like this has to be in reviewers and content creators' hands with embargoes going up end of August. Like it has to.
Yeah, end of August would make sense. Like
I'm talking like August 28th, August 29th. Like the embargo for this cannot lift September 5th.
I think I had like 12 days to review Fallout 4 between when I got it and when it was released and when reviews went up. So like, yeah, like it needs to be out 2 weeks ahead of time into reviewers' hands and into influencers' hands or whatever they got to do. So yeah, I completely agree there. Like it has to be in that like time frame. But I'm assuming we're gonna see Xbox go hard in June of like, here's a special edition console, here's collector's editions, because now that gives them enough time to where they can make those announcements and give the retailers like the 90-day window to like prep for this big thing. And they don't really have too much like Spider-Man is the only thing that's supposed to come out at the end of the year that's like going to compete with this. Zelda's out in May. So like Nintendo's done come the end of May, and PlayStation really only has Spider-Man 2 announced. And there's on and off rumors that the Call of Duty game might be coming out this year, but we were under the impression no Call of Duty this year. Mm-hmm. So like this is a very clear path for Bethesda.
I could see like a huge update to Warzone 2, maybe, but yeah, no, this is a great window for them. I mean, I know that PlayStation and Insomniac came out and said Spider-Man's the end of the year, and that pretty much and they didn't mention Wolverine, so like, which wasn't expected, so that means Wolverine's probably pushed to 2024, which is where it belongs. So like this is an opportunity. Like this is something that it's time to see why Microsoft bought Bethesda, and and how you see why Microsoft buys Bethesda is Starfield has to be great. It has to be great.
Yeah, it has to be. And if it's not great, it has to sell well. Like that, it comes down to that.
Well, with the implementation of Game Pass, like selling well is not enough. Like it has to be great.
Well, no. Unfortunately, like when I'm talking about selling well, I also now mean trending in terms of like it's in Game Pass's hands, Game Pass subscriptions. Like if Microsoft
comes out, we saw an increase of 10 million subscribers or something.
Yes, they need like a percentage increase. Like if they don't mention,
I don't want a percentage increase. I want a figure. I don't want to see 22% or something. Like
but
that,
realistically, they probably will give a percentage. But if we don't get a percentage increase, then shit went hit the fan. Like things went bad. So hopefully we see something along those lines of like, hey, here's some numbers on why this is doing so well. But we'll move on. Dave, I think you may have kind of predicted this when we were talking a couple weeks ago about something. But Square Enix announced that they are starting the motions or starting the paperwork to replace their president, Matsuda, pending approval from the board. They already have his replacement named, which the name is eluding me right now. Kiru, I believe is the name. And this will be decided at the annual shareholders meeting in June of this year. They basically wished him farewell, and the replacement is going to be adopting ever-evolving technological innovations. I did put a note in our stuff, or I did make a note in our show notes. Matsuda did catch a lot of flack over the last couple of years because he was very much pushing like NFTs and blockchain stuff. And at first I was on the same boat as a lot of people of like, oh, guess that backfired. But they kind of made it clear that the new guy is also kind of really interested in blockchain NFT stuff. So this is just the president changing over. Dave, we probably have several takes on like why this is happening, and we can point to specific examples of why you might want to replace the president of Square Enix. I'll let you take the first.
Yeah, I mean the biggest one is that he sold his company. He sold assets, probably undervalued the assets, or approved the sale of approved selling of assets at less than reputable market value. Yeah.
Yes.
That was hard to come up with.
Yeah.
That's number one to me, where the board's like, what? They watch something get flipped and they're like, what?
Like you didn't talk to Amazon about Tomb Raider? Like they're doing everything for Tomb Raider.
And then if this other guy is into this stuff, that's 100% fine. Don't publicly say it.
Yep.
Release it. Slowly integrate it. Like. Best example I can give is like Xbox One days of like DRM, always connected console. Like people are like, this is stupid,
and we're there now.
We're there now, and we got there without people saying your system's gonna always be connected. It just kind of slowly happened over time.
Yeah.
Like, so if you want to do NFTs, you want to do blockchains, like release your quality games, and slowly integrate these things to where the player just gets comfortable with it and doesn't even realize they're doing it. Whether I like it or don't like it, the way that PlayStation is currently handling this as well with the level system of your PSN account, you're getting digital collectibles.
Yeah,
that aren't are even away with it. Yeah,
but they're not even like NFT level of like quote unquote protection. It's just like, here's some digital assets, and that could be what Square Enix is like. Hey, can we do that too? Without like fucking up the environment.
You're planting a seed, and then eventually the tree's going to grow, and then eventually you're actually going to see it, and you're going to be able to touch the tree, and it's going to be tangible. It just takes time versus coming out and saying, we're going to go into NFTs, and then the public's like, I'm not going to buy your stuff.
Yeah, especially when the former president of Square Enix was kind of basically talking about like, oh, I want to put this in Final Fantasy 14, and it's just like, don't talk about ruining current experiences that people are enjoying. Yeah. Like, do something new and creative that will hopefully win people over. But a lot of people thought it was because of the NFT stuff is why he's leaving. It could be part of it in terms of like, hey, you fucked up by talking about this. Shut the fuck up. Now go home. But most likely it is like, hey, you lost like $1 billion with Avengers. Because it was like hundreds of millions of dollars lost. You sold 50 IPs along with 5 studios. And then one single IP was flipped to Amazon, potentially, for like double what.
Or Amazon bought rights to access it for like bought rights to use it for more than you sold the other assets for.
Especially when it comes to like the Tomb Raider thing of like Amazon is funding a Tomb Raider game, fully funding it, and making a TV show and potentially doing movies, all on Amazon's dime.
Yeah.
So Square Enix is looking at the president like, did you try this? Or did you just take the first deal that came along to fund the NFT stuff that you probably didn't really have an idea of what you were doing based on how your live letters went, or whatever they were called.
Yep. So this is how you lose your job in current world. So
yeah.
Sadly for him, he's still going to get a nice envelope put in his back pocket as he gets kicked out the door.
Yep, and we'll see how this will probably take a while to affect Square Enix, but it could be fresh eyes going in there just to be like, hey, our only successful thing right now are smaller RPGs on the Switch and Final Fantasy 14. Everything else,
and hopefully 16 at that point in time.
Yeah, and hopefully 16. But 16 might be the last thing before they're like, we got to just fucking reboot creative on everything.
Yeah.
In terms of who's making decisions for that franchise. Because the person doing 16 is a person who's who's in charge of 14. So they're at least making the attempt of 14's really successful. Maybe Yoshi P has the magic to right the ship of 16 or the mainline franchise. So we'll see how that goes in June. Is it June, Dave? For 16? Sounds about right.
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Dave. We're going to talk about...
I don't wanna.
I'm sorry. We're going to have to fucking do it, Dave. We're talking about Activision Blizzard's and Xbox's fucking kerfuffle with PlayStation. This is broken down into two stories. The first one is a thing that me and Dave were really excited about the possibility happening. I think last week alone you'd mentioned it, or as recent as last week. But PlayStation might need to release a lot of information that they don't want to release. So right now at the stage for the FTC, which is the United States Regulatory Board, they're starting to build their portfolios and their cases to go to court this summer, and Microsoft had made 45 requests of PlayStation through the FTC court system, and what they wanted was anything regarding third-party exclusivity deals and just third-party deals in general between PlayStation and other companies. And they wanted to go as far as they want the emails and communication and contracts that were signed, as well as the communications from people like Jim Ryan with those companies. Whether it's through email or through paperwork, Microsoft is like, we need to see all of that because it's important to this case. Sony tried to appeal these requests by Microsoft, and a majority of them were rejected by the court. The court was like, no, you do need to provide this stuff. One of the only appeals Sony did win was basically how far back these requests have to go, and I believe the agreed date was January 2019. The main reason Sony said they don't want to give up this information is because it's irrelevant and would cost too much time and money to get the documents ready for the court case that's taking place this summer. Dave?
Then shut your mouth and stop disputing the purchase of the transaction if you're not willing to show your cards.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't wait to see how much they paid Warner Brothers for Hogwarts exclusive DLC, because Xbox got ran over the coals when it was alleged that they paid $25 million for Outriders. People were pointing that at them and laughing at them. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say it's more than $25 million for what they paid for Hogwarts Legacy, but I bet you that they have to either it was a significant chunk of change, or it is a significant chunk of change based on game sales. So the more that Hogwarts is selling, the more Sony has to give Warner Brothers. Yes. It's an either or situation with me, but I think that we are going to be surprised at how much a exclusive quest cost.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, there's
marketing, because it's marketed. The marketing is attached to PlayStation. I'm using Hogwarts is because that's the most recent thing that's on top of my mind that has PlayStation exclusive content in it.
Yeah, but we'll go down the list of Final Fantasy VII Remake that had an exclusivity deal. The sequel will also have exclusivity. Final Fantasy 16 has exclusivity. Forspoken just came out, was exclusive.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to see the Call of Duty numbers.
Yeah, because they do have a contract technically that might be. I think it's still going. It's expiring in 3 years or something.
But
like
it was
that.
active as early as 2019, 2020, and 2021.
Yes, yeah, and then there's also like the Silent Hill games with Konami. So basically,
their Death Stranding contract with Kojima.
yes, Death Stranding 2 is coming out, so that contract must be relatively new.
To swing this back down to sports, like what happens here, and this is when these owners get pissed. And I'm not picking on this particular owner when I say this, but in baseball, so baseball doesn't have a salary cap. It kind of does, has a luxury tax, but it also doesn't have what's called a salary floor. So the Pittsburgh Pirates owner cries poverty, and the Major League Baseball Players Association's like, open the book, and he's like, no. So,
yeah.
And they're like, but we want to see what you're doing with the revenue sharing. Well, that's none of your business. Then shut your mouth.
Yeah. and the problem is, like, PlayStation, Sony went really hard of, like, Call of Duty exclusivity will ruin us. So Microsoft is just like, all of your exclusivity deals are ruining us now, so let's share the information. I do think it is kind of petty, but kind of smart by Microsoft to be like, we want Jim Ryan's emails. Because they know.
So my question to you now is, I'm trying to think how to word this. Can Sony make this go away and Sony keep their documents secret by saying we don't dispute the transaction?
Yes. Yeah. If they just throw their hands up like we don't give a shit anymore, they don't have to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll get into our next story, and basically it's why Europe is so important, because if they can stop it in Europe, they have a better chance of being like, hey, we don't have to share information. A European board spent several months saying this deal is unfair. Look at their research. Mm-hmm. And basically, if it gets approved in Europe, PlayStation will probably be like, fuck it, we give up. We're not going to fight in the FTC. We lost everywhere else around the world.
It was fascinating when Epic had to open their ledger. It was fascinating.
And what I was saying before I got sidetracked is it's very evil and smart of Microsoft to be like, we want Jim Ryan's emails. Because Jim Ryan has not been good to speaking publicly. So the idea of private messages sent to other companies is very fascinating and very problematic for Jim Ryan, because the stuff he says can be sometimes outlandish and kind of cringe, and that's public-facing pre-approved stuff. I
want to see the conversation when Kotick went to him and said, hey, Microsoft offered us this much money. Like, there's a conversation.
Yeah. And again,
whether that's an email or not, I would think it's not an email.
Yeah, no, but basically they want communication of like, hey, when you go to Square Enix and you're like, hey, how much money to keep this off Xbox? We want to know how you're phrasing that in those conversations, and that's basically what Microsoft wants. They want to know. Or
the alleged you have to, like, alleged, confirmed, still confusing of you have to pay us this much to be on the first 3 pages of the store.
Yes.
You know, like that stuff that we talked about, like this might be a glass door that Sony has kept fogged over that they don't want people to see. Like, most of the time you don't want to see this. Like the consumer is like, I'm fascinated on this because there's a radio show guy that I listen to that talks about root for radio. Like, this makes great content for us. Like, if this door gets open.
Yeah.
But this could piss a lot of people off, and it could also offend a lot of people.
Well,
like, I'm sorry, there's some hardcore ass PlayStation fanboys that might get smacked in the face really, really hard.
Well, not even that. I don't even care about that. Okay, Dave.
I do, because they're sitting there pointing the finger at Microsoft buying all this stuff, and
no. But I'm saying that won't hurt the bottom line. You know what would hurt the bottom line?
Yeah.
Dave, you represent Capcom. Me and you are having a private conversation, and then I'm like, hey, I'm going to court, so our conversation's no longer private. It's going to be in the public form.
So the other companies are going to be like, you need to stop. Like, you need to.
No, exactly. Like, you would probably, if you're Capcom and we're talking like fucking business, you'd probably be like, don't do this because like I can't have that information out. You know, like I can't.
When we've gotten emails released before, circling back to sports, like NFL coaches and general managers and owners are being removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know. I doubt there's anything like that crazy in it, but they could be
really.
No, but I'm saying like, you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but there could be things. There could be things that are like, hey, we need to do this, fuck Xbox, but like not something like super offensive, but there could be like business terms of just like, oh, Phil's going to be mad about this one. And that's enough pettiness that a board would look at a regulatory board and be like, why are we going to side with you? Mm-hmm. Like, look what you're doing and how you're conducting business. Yeah. Like, we don't know how bad it is.
Or when they see what Microsoft is attempting to do is absorb, and let's call it what it is. Like, it's an acquisition, but it's a merger. Like, Microsoft and Activision are merging together.
Yeah, and or Xbox and, yeah.
Yeah, and what Sony... Typically, what I think Sony does is, okay, we want your content, or we think you have cool enough content. How much is it going to cost for that content to be only on our system? Because we know if we have our content only on our system, then they'll buy more of our system.
Yeah. So. And you brought it up earlier, just like how they treat the storefront. Hogwarts Legacy got a little bit more time on that front page compared to other stuff because there was a marketing deal. I want to see
the Street Fighter money.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff that could come from this that like Dave is
Evo money. Like
Dave is tired of this story, but if that shit gets put in a public forum, Dave's going to be like excited to like go through. Like, I would imagine, Dave, would probably
you're gonna find out that Sony is just as dirty and as rotten as every other corporation in the country, in the world.
Yeah, when they say for the gamers, they don't actually. Company means that. Yeah. But this is the type of thing that like if they release like 100-page doc, Dave will probably take a lunch or two to like, I'm fucking reading this. Like,
where's my highlighter?
Yeah, I'm gonna print this out. This is gonna be I'm gonna put this in the bathroom. I'll just read through it at my own pace.
This is gonna go in a binder with a highlighter.
So basically, if Sony wants to continue to pursue this through the FTC, this is what they're going to have to do. But there's a chance it might not even need to make it that far based on what's going on over in Europe with the CMA. So we'll move on to our next story.
Hold up though. If Sony pulls the plug on this and says, "Hey, we give up," like, what looks worse? The documents getting out or them stopping?
So the thing is with Sony is they're in a really good spot that they know that no matter what, Microsoft's 10-year deal will always be on the table.
Yeah. No, but I meant like, okay, so we find out in 3 weeks that Microsoft's like, hey, you know what? We're not going to open the documents. We're not disputing this transaction anymore. And you guys can go ahead and do what you're going to do. With the amount of time that Sony took to do this, doesn't that make them look even worse than if they open their documents and say, okay, well, you made us do this, so here you go.
To who?
Everybody. Like, I mean, I guess at the same time,
doesn't matter.
Nobody will hear about it if Microsoft walks, or if Xbox, or if Sony walks away and the Xbox Activision merger just goes through. They're just like, okay, well, we tried to do what we thought was best for the gaming community, but it's apparent that our rebuttals aren't worth the effort or something. So
I would say like 90% of the people won't even know any of this happened outside of like the people like us, people listening to this podcast. So in the grand scheme of things, it probably won't matter, but it will matter to business partners, and stuff will be kind of hurt business partner wise. One aspect I don't think is PlayStation, again, they know no matter what, that 10-year deal from Microsoft is on the table. It's on the table forever. If this deal doesn't go through, do you think Activision Blizzard is going to want to fucking work with you like hand in hand? Like, yes, they'll still release shit on your console, but there's nothing to stop them to go into Microsoft and being like, you want exclusive content? Like, do you want to buy exclusive content? It would be so much cheaper than $68 billion.
This is as bad as, making... I'm gonna use low numbers so nobody gets really pissed off at me, but Michael makes $6 an hour at flipping burgers, and they hire me at $10 an hour, and I'm not allowed to say anything to them. And then we've like, hey, you should open the books to make sure we're equal opportunity employment. Well, we don't want to do that, so we're just gonna not talk about that, or like this could get weird, because if you find out that they paid a ridiculous amount for Haven, or but then you find out they paid even more for the exclusivity deal with Sometimes Always Monsters, or
that type of stuff will come out to where it's just like a company very prideful like Square Enix will be like, you lowballed the shit out of us for this deal.
So if we find out, like, I don't even know, like, again, just low rough numbers, we gave Sometimes Always Monsters $20 million to make this game exclusive for us, and we gave, and again, I'm not saying this is the case, but we gave we paid $12.5 million for Street Fighter 6 content.
Yeah,
and they're gonna be like, wait a minute, you paid how much for an unknown IP, and you gave us, like, okay, well, good luck negotiating next time when we have some content coming out. Like,
and then again, like I said, like, this deal doesn't go through, Activision Blizzard is going to be potentially very vindictive of, like, you cost us a big payday, so we're not going to renew any specific deals we had with you. We're going to sign deals now. DLC comes first to Xbox because we need to get whatever money we can because we lost out on $69 billion.
Yeah.
So it could get really bad. But again, PlayStation, no matter what, they're going to sign that 10-year deal, and we'll probably champion it of, like, we signed this deal for you, gamers. And people will be like, hell yeah, thanks for fighting for me, PlayStation. And that's how it's just going to go down. Like, this whole thing, it's a big...
I just, like, I can't wait to see some ridiculous number. Like, I don't even know what I could think of. Like the amount of money that Watch Forspoken be, like, absurd, or Hogwarts thing. Hogwarts is going to be the one that's going to be more relevant to me because that's just like a sliver of content versus Forspoken being exclusive on
console. There's a good chance, though, that Hogwarts single mission costs more money than the Forspoken deal, just because of the different
I
IP.
can't wait because people were running Xbox over the coals when they allegedly paid $25 million for Outriders. Allegedly, we still never heard what it was or how much money they've been paying for Game Pass games. This also means that we probably get to see the Plus contracts too.
We'll get to it in the next story, Dave. Okay?
Oh, didn't. This is what I get for not reading bullet points.
Yeah. Okay. So the CMA, the European Regulatory Board, that they're currently having negotiations over. Okay, so if you remember, Dave, about 2 weeks ago, Xbox, started to sign those 10-year deals, and apparently this isn't confirmed because they can't confirm anything yet, but apparently the CMA, they're actually kind of liking what Microsoft's doing in terms of signing 10-year deals, and it sounds like they're more receptive of this deal going through based on those concessions, though it's not foolproof that it's like slam dunk, we're done now. It means they're like, Microsoft's doing the right moves and they're happy with it. PlayStation has now responded saying the whole deal can't go through. The concessions aren't enough. This whole deal needs to be blocked because they feel Xbox/Microsoft can then just make inferior versions of Call of Duty on PlayStation. They can release a buggy version of Call of Duty on PlayStation and still honor the 10-year deal. And they said even if Microsoft breaks the 10-year deals, there's no penalty. It'll be like a slap on the wrist or some fines. So they don't have faith that, like, there's anything in place to force Microsoft to uphold whatever agreements they agree to with the CMA, FTC, etc. Microsoft then responded that they are willing to sign the 10-year contracts and also pay for a third party to evaluate the quality of their releases that come to other platforms. So they, like, are willing to basically hire up another company that is unbiased to basically quality check things. Again, this is all posturing.
Can we stop for a second?
Yes.
And say that you, like, Microsoft or Sony really thinks or is publicly saying that Microsoft or Activision Blizzard might purposely make a worse production game. Like, they have a hard enough time making one game working on the multiple consoles, like, let alone to make something that runs worse on another console, or they're slower to patch. Like, patches are cross-platform. Like, the game is cross-platform play. Like, this is the same game just running on different hardware. Like, there is a common denominator.
And it's also the billion-dollar franchise, because this is always in reference to Call of Duty.
And it's still going to be on PS4 and Xbox One for the next 2 or 3 years. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, but also, like, why would Xbox shoot themselves in the foot by putting out, like, oh, if we put a shitty version of this game out on PlayStation, that's going to make the players not mad.
I just spent $70 on this PS5 version of the game and it runs like trash. Let me go to the store and spend $70 in the Xbox One version because it runs better. That's not how the consumer works.
Dave, it's not the $70. Let me spend $300 on a Series S or $500 on a Series X.
But they're not going to do that. They're just not going to buy the next Call of Duty, and then in turn hurts Microsoft.
That's what I mean. And that's basically PlayStation or like Sony's argument is it's just going to drive people to buy Call of Duty and another platform. And in reality is they're just going to move on to another game.
Yeah.
They're not going to change their ecosystem. You're not going to get like all of your friends that you play to like dump the console. They'll do that next generation. Yeah. But in the current generation, no, that's not going to happen. Okay. So where did so they agreed to have a third party evaluate the quality. That would probably be the easiest fucking job to get in terms of like,
Mommy, Microsoft took my football.
Yeah, but this the third party coming in just checking it like those both 4K, good job, and then they just fuck off. Like, okay. Microsoft also offered to allow Sony to put Call of Duty games on PlayStation Plus day one, but it sounds better than it actually is, and Sony actually kind of has a fair point, but also it's not that great. Sony rejected this idea, saying that like they can't afford the licensing costs that Microsoft would probably charge to have Call of Duty on PlayStation Plus day one, because they don't know what the licensing fee would be, and they worry that the cost for Call of Duty to be on Plus would be more than they can afford for the service, therefore raising the prices of PlayStation Plus. I do agree with PlayStation. It is a very empty offer of like, we'll sell you the ability to put it on PlayStation Plus, but Sony outright rejecting it without like details is very foolish.
Because the Sony has set the standard where AAA, quadruple A quality games aren't on PS Plus day one because it hurts the quality of the content. Like that's the hill that they're going to die on. That's the stake they put in the ground.
It would make PlayStation look bad in terms of like, so Microsoft can put their first party games on PlayStation Plus, but you can't put your first party games on PlayStation.
That's kind of what I mean too, because it also they already look rough with MLB The Show being on Xbox Game Pass. Like people have gotten over it, but optically it does look rough, and it will look even worse. Of like, okay, so now a Sony studio game is on Game Pass, and a Microsoft studio game is on Plus, but you won't put Ratchet & Clank on Plus.
Yeah. It basically puts PlayStation in a weird spot, but also the idea that like, I wonder how much of a discount Xbox would give them just to get this deal to go through. Of like, hey, we'll cut the license, because Activision Blizzard has put Call of Duty games on Plus, but it's usually a year or two after release.
Yeah.
So day one would cost significantly more, but I wonder how desperate Microsoft would be. But again, all these offers on the table are going to start disappearing. The only contract that's going to be left is the 10-year contract.
Yeah. By the way, all these contracts have Post-it notes on them that say when deal is completed.
Yeah.
Like,
the last bit just kind of broke today. So the meetings with Microsoft, Activision, Sony, and the CMA have gotten pretty heated. Recently, Lulu Chain Miservery, she's a EVP and CCO over at Activision Blizzard, said that Jim Ryan outright in a meeting told them, I don't want a new Call of Duty deal. I just want to block your merger. And you got to take this with a grain of salt, because this is also the same person that's been posting like kind of cringy memes about PlayStation and Sony during this whole thing, to where it's like, should an executive be posting like stupid memes about this deal that they're currently in a hearing for? But having this quote, and they're standing by it, that Jim Ryan just straight up said, I don't want a new Call of Duty, I just want to block your merger, is like, yes, it's very truthful, but like, man, that's a pretty harsh thing, because it goes against what is being said publicly. I do wonder, Dave, before I let you talk, the ramifications that could be, because these are behind closed doors meetings that the people involved are now just fucking outright talking about in public. So I wonder if there's some sort of ramification for dropping direct quotes from this meeting that you're a part of. But Dave,
there's not a whole lot to say other than we've already heard Jim Ryan say stupid crap. So the fact of it, like, do I believe that Jim Ryan said this based on his prior history since he's been the president of Sony Worldwide or whatever you want to call it? Yeah, I do believe he said this. Yeah. Do I think that, you know, he's like every other human being in the world and says something out of anger, frustration, irritation, you know, just spurts? Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, but, you know, in terms of what he is, like, expectation-wise is set, I'm getting to the point that when the dust settles on this deal and it's approved, that we might see Jim Ryan on his way out.
And I would say on the other end, if this deal doesn't go through, we probably see Phil Spencer on the way out. Like, I feel like this will cost one of the game company's CEO. Outside of Bobby Kotick.
Because
like,
if Sony has to release the documents and then they're going to point at Jim Ryan of like, okay, you approached this the wrong way, and the way that you approached this like super exposed us, you're done.
Cost us money.
Or if the documents don't come out and it comes out that Ryan said even more stuff like this, it's going to be kind of similar to like, okay, well, we appreciate what you've done for us, but we don't really like the way this was handled, and we don't like the way that this deal went through. We don't like that the deal went through, but even worse, we don't like that how badly we got dragged for the deal to go through. So thank you, have a good day. I feel like by mid 2024, I'm with you. Spencer or Ryan will not be in their position.
Yeah, I think we can lock that down. I would say, yeah, mid 2024 would probably be like, because fiscal year would end in like March or something. So yeah, I think you can. That's a Digital Days Gaming prediction from both of us of like, one of these guys probably won't be heads of their company in 2024, just because of how this is played out and how it could potentially play out. But yeah, we've yet to hear the response to the latest stuff of the executive basically dropping this bomb of like how the behind doors conversations are going. So we'll see what happens next. I'm sure we'll get another statement, but it sounds like this deal is going to get pushed through during the CMA, which I do believe will cause the deal to... It still has to go through the FTC because it's a large merger that's happening in the United States, so it has to go through the FTC, but I have a feeling it's going to be significantly smoother because NVIDIA's out of the way. The only companies that are still having issues with this are Google and Sony, and I don't think Google has much of a ground to lay on or much of a ground to stand on because they just closed Stadia, so they can't really be like, Microsoft's going to take a foothold in the streaming from the cloud world when they just gave up in that realm earlier this year.
Agreed.
But yeah, man, this shit is pretty funny, Dave. I'm enjoying this, and
this is gonna make a great book in 10 years.
Oh my god, yeah, I can't wait.
Or at that point in time, some documentary, because people won't be reading books in 10 years.
No.
All right. So what's delayed? Michael mentioned Starfield technically, and then this one's a little disappointing, especially with the riding the heels of the success of it. I actually kind of forgot that it wasn't on prior gen. Hogwarts last gen is delayed about a month, so May 5th.
Yeah, and then the Switch one was supposed to be out in June, and now it's out in July, something like that.
So it's super fascinating. Like, I don't know what's going on with it. I thought that maybe the sales surge would help get things, taken care of or done, or get them some faster cash to get this thing done. So this is a little disappointing, but at the same time, like, I applaud Warner Brothers for having the guts to release just the current gen version of it first. Like, a lot of companies would wait. And it paid obviously successful dividends for them. So, all right, what we're playing and watching. So for me, caught up, fully up to date on The Last of Us, waiting for the series finale. The numbers around The Last of Us are fascinating. I think, and my wife mentioned to be like 8.5 million people.
Yeah, that's a big increase from where it started.
Are there. So that's great. I'm liking how they're handling things. it's pretty interesting and pretty fascinating. All in all, if you've been waiting to watch, I recommend trying to watch as you're listening to this recording, as the show goes live Thursday. The season finale is airing on Sunday. This is one of those season finales that we talked about at the beginning of the series where something's going to happen, and you are going to be spoiled if you are on social media.
Yeah, it's must-see TV when it airs.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to give my wife some caffeine or something like that to ensure that she stays up to watch this live on a Sunday evening. And I think I heard it's actually one of the shorter ones anyways. It's only like 37 or 40 minutes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so based on where they are, I agree, but it is what it is. So that'll be super interesting. And Destiny. So upon talking last week, I was not 100% done with the campaign. Playing it on Legendary, I did complete that, and I was able to fully unlock Strand. And like I had mentioned before, the sandbox in Destiny is fascinating, and Strand has just made it even more fun. It is immensely more powerful than I expected it to be. I was only given a gimped version of it during the campaign, so therefore it wasn't fun. Like I said, I did not like how they handled Strand as the new elemental ability. But this is a crowd control chaos thing that I can suspend people in the game, suspend enemies in the game, where I make them float in midair and they can't do anything, and I can shoot them and kill them and make things and create stuff, and I'm just having a blast, just suspending things, watching them hang in the air, killing them, procking another elemental thing off of that, using that to damage something else, which is recharging my ability to suspend something. Doing that, I can Spider-Man around the map in Destiny with a grapple if I want to. And just move around, and the movement is phenomenal. They just handled it so poorly in the campaign, so bad. And the emphasis on build crafting is there. The post-campaign stuff is a little bit better. The character on Neomuna is just awful. In terms of Nimbus, his name is Nimbus. I just do not like this character. And that's a personal thing. He's really one of the first NPCs that I really personally have not liked, or like when he talks, I'm like, shut up. But just messing around with it, doing some of the other stuff, getting through, like the raid still isn't out yet. So like that should help a little bit. Hopefully the raid loot's good, because we've always talked about it, like the loot's supposed to be good. It was also a little bit more validation feeling of there is a lot of hardcore Destiny players that are feeling similar to how I felt about the storytelling. Mm-hmm. Their narrative has stepped up so much, and the expectations that came out of Witch Queen were so high that it just seems like they took a step backwards with the Lightfall campaign part of it. Neomuna, the new planet Neptune, on the planet Neptune, the city of Neomuna feels boring and bland and empty still, even though it looks so cool. But I just, and I expect it to be like, I'll be going there like 2 more weeks, and then I'm going to be fully into the seasonal content and the seasonal storyline, which is not on Neptune. And it's similar to Witch Queen. Like, I don't go to the Savathun's throne world that much unless I'm going after something very, very specific, and I don't go to Europa, which is where the Beyond Light stuff came from. I start interacting with the seasonal content and the exotic quests, or the repeatable content that they do, and the $40 expansion lives in its own vacuum. I get the cool stuff that I want from it, and I use that cool stuff to do the other stuff that I want to do. That's kind of what it's turned into. There's not really much more to say. I am lockstep in line with the reviews that are averaging 5 to 6s out of 10s in terms of just the Lightfall thing. Like, now that's prior to the raid, but if we're just talking about the Lightfall campaign, it's just not good. However, if you're a Destiny player, do I think that Strand by itself is worth $40 and the weapons that come with it? Yeah. Sadly, I do. And it's crazy to say that, but that's kind of to the point where I've gotten in Destiny of there's a handful of things that this game gives you that make you feel fun and powerful, and if I have to pay $40 for it, so be it. Like,
hey, if it makes you happy, Dave.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's primarily been it. Angela and I want to start Mandalorian. We haven't done that yet. I think we're gonna get through Last of Us, and Ted Lasso's next week too. So
nice. I'll probably wait for Ted Lasso to end to just binge watch that show, because it's an easy show to binge watch. It's not one of those like shows that like
maybe we'll catch up on that. Maybe we'll just rewatch season 1 and season 2 or something, just to kind of reset us a little bit.
Yeah,
a while.
For me, honestly, I haven't had time to play games. I was sick pretty much all of last week, and I've just been like binge watching just random TV shows. Like I at a certain point, I was just like, you know what, Sarah, you've never seen this bad show called True Blood. And we've been watching that show, and I've just been basically enjoying to see her reaction to some of the stupid shit that happens in there. I ended up buying a bunch of PS3 games off eBay because I'm sick. I'm just not like sick in the head, and just want random PS3 games. I'll post pictures of the collection of PS3 games I'm getting, because you're probably thinking like, oh, he must be getting like the good games. Nah, I'm at the point where I'm getting the shitty games. Just because I want to have them. So just been doing a lot of eBay hunting for random stuff. I had the problem where I sent out like 5 lowball offers that I wasn't expecting to get.
I saw this tweet.
Yeah. Like, I'm talking really low. Like, people had it for one price, and then I was like,
oh, I didn't know there were low offers. I think I read it as you sent out all these offers and they were all accepted. I don't think you said low in your tweet.
I might not have, but basically I lowballed a bunch of people and they took them. And I was just like, shit, now I have to buy these 6 games because...
Now I just spent $150 and I thought I was going to maybe spend $40 or something like that.
Yeah, because we're talking about like some of them were like the person had a game up for $20 and I was just like, I don't know, can you take 9? And then they're like, sure. And I was like, fuck, I didn't actually... Okay. So there was like several games like that where it was just like, oh... I don't expect them to take it, and then they did.
You replaced you fixed your buddy's Game Boy too, right?
Yeah, I did that. Did I put? I might not have put that in the Discord. I'll probably pop pictures of that in the Discord.
I know you tweeted the pictures. I know you were waiting to do that until he received the item. So
yeah, basically, yeah. So that did that. He liked it so much that he's like, hey, I have a water damaged PSP Go. Can you see if you can fix it? And so that's my next project, is to see how bad this PSP Go is. I'm hoping it's just a screen. Screens are pretty cheap for that, but it was water damaged. So
how does this process work? Do you see if you can fix it, and then you say, hey, I fixed it, this is how much it cost me to fix it, and they pay you? Or do you have the conversation with them prior, like if you buy the screen and you can't fix it, are you out the money?
So
I know this is probably a friend of yours, so it's kind of like one of those things where, like, hey, I'm just, again, rough numbers. Hey, I spent $65 fixing this. Give me $40. We're good, because it's worth $20 of your tinkering time.
When it comes to the Game Boys, I haven't had to really spend any money on those.
Okay.
Like, I reshelled it for him.
You get parts from other places.
Yeah. So, like, I have a lot of, like, spare parts. Like, the buttons that I gave him, I had those buttons on the Game Boy I did. Like, I think I spent, like, $10 on the shell. Like, that was the amount of money it cost me for that, just because now I have just a bunch of spare parts that are just, like, in boxes to where it's like, I could do that. The PSP Go thing, I don't have much faith because it was water damaged in a flood. But opening it around and just, like, messing around with it just to see if I get it to post.
I guess it's kind of nice with the no harm, no foul. Like, you can't make it worse.
Yeah.
Like, it already doesn't work.
Like, the Game Boy that he let me try and fix... Luckily, it was, like, water damaged, but not beyond repair. It just needed to be, like, vinegar and iso alcohol to just, like, clean contacts out and get some rust out. So stuff like that's not too bad. I did have to solder a capacitor, but I have a shit ton of capacitors lying around because I had a failed, like, reviving of a Game Gear I think I told you about, like, 2 years ago. So, like, luckily I was able to use parts from that to do this. So... yeah, just doing like weird little projects like that. Me and Sarah might be moving in a couple weeks to a new apartment. So mentally preparing that. I'm excited just because I get to like organize shit, and I like doing organizing shit. Because the good thing about when you like move is
it's a reevaluation of everything that's in the place.
Yep, of like, do we really need to move this, or can I just leave this here or throw this out?
Yep.
Is very exciting. So yeah, just doing all that stuff. So that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. All right, so questions and comments using hashtag AskDigitalDays. You can post them in the Facebook group. You can post them on our Discord server. You can post them on Twitter. Any of those things, you don't have to wait for us to ask for the questions. You can just post them when things come up. Sometimes we cherry pick questions out of topics in general in there. So Stefan, who consistently sends us questions, if you didn't game, what would your main hobby be? Well, I actually I do both because mine is I like to play. I haven't played pickup basketball in a couple of years, but I'd probably just play a lot more softball. So softball, baseball, just get outside, do some stuff,
Yeah. Alcoholism, I don't know, honestly. No, I did like playing basketball, so maybe, but you can't do that year round unless you go to a indoor court, and not worth it. I probably just be
you start messing with TVs, trying to fix stuff.
I would probably be messing with
bigger things than what you're doing. Yeah,
I would probably be messing around with electronics more, or I would be an obnoxious movie buff, because I'm already kind of that, but I'd be way fucking worse with movies. That would probably be something. I would just probably be really into going to the movie theater and seeing random indie movies, because it's something I used to like doing, but I'd just rather just stay home and play a video game.
You can read this next question because I don't think I can pronounce his Twitter handle if I tried.
I couldn't either. Black Kazuko.
Okay.
This is related to the Square Enix stuff, so we kind of already answered this. So do you think Square Enix will do away with all the NFT stuff, or are they going full steam ahead? They basically said they're interested in different technologies. I think that was a coded way to say we're into NFTs and blockchains, like Dave said they should have done in the first place. Don't name NFTs and blockchains.
I think they're just going to go about it on a different path. They're gonna backdoor us instead of kicking over the front door, which is what the other guy was trying to do.
Yes, you're gonna download something in the next Final Fantasy game, and you're gonna be like, "This is pretty cool," and then someone's gonna be like, "Aha, that's on the blockchain," and then you're gonna be like, "Oh fuck, I already said I liked it."
Yeah.
So. It's going to be shitty regardless, but it's just going to be handled more secretive, like Dave said earlier. It's just
marketed correctly, with proper analogies and evaluations, and slowly we've been integrated with free to play games slowly, and microtransactions, and we watch loot boxes go away, and people are like, "Yay, loot boxes are going away!" While they're just giving a company $5 for a weapon skin now.
That's exactly what's gonna happen.
But yeah, all right. So that's our show. You can follow us on our main social networks. The Twitter for the main account is @DigitalDaysPod, which is where if you could just drop a follow there, that you'll see when the episodes post. Michael does a far better job than I do retweeting trailers and information of things that are going out and about in the gaming world, as well as just anything weird. I saw Wario 64 today. GameStop canceled all of RE4's collector's editions and said, "Hey, we're not filling them."
That was exclusive to GameStop.
Yes,
is the other caveat of "Hey, our exclusive, we don't have it."
Yeah. You can follow Michael at the first MJC, where you can see maybe where the stuff he's tinkering with, or maybe if he does move, maybe he'll let Twitter vote on keep or toss on a couple things.
Man, I like comic books, but I have a box that's too heavy to pick up, filled with individual issues, and I'm like, do I really need to take this with me?
And you can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. I should do a better job of just posting random pictures of my store being built, because I don't think it's going to be built on time.
Yeah, that seems like a fun Discord thing.
Yeah, I'll put some pictures in Discord of that, of what they're doing to my building right now, because I actually got to see it today, and it's supposed to be 35 days from now, and I'm like, oh boy. So we'll see. You can check that stuff out. You can join our Facebook group like we mentioned at the beginning of the show. You can join our Discord server, so you can do voice chat with Xbox players, PlayStation players, PC players, all that stuff. And then we also have the Patreon, which due to my power outage, we fell a little farther behind. And with Michael not feeling well, this is how life and days just get away from you. But there are some tiers of the Patreon thing. We love and appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing. And I know most of the time when I send out messages or I communicate privately with you guys that you're like, we just want to support you, and that's amazing. But we want to make sure that your support is repaid in content that you are entitled to. So we will get back on that bike again. You have not. Well, nothing else has come out. I said you really haven't updated anything on our draft picks.
Yeah, nothing's really come out. I think last time I updated it was when the last game released. So I think you did pick Kirby though, so I should probably take a
it's
look
coming
at that
soon.
Again. Yeah.
But yep, so that's there, as well as, again, depending on whatever tier you access of Discord, you get access to the supporter channel in Discord on our $3 tier. $5 gets you early access to the show most of the time, scheduling permitting. And then $7 is the bonus content episode. If you do become into the $7 tier, you get access to all the bonus episodes. And there's a significant amount of content on there for you to absorb, and that's probably the best value right now, if you really ask me, because the backlog of content, even though we fell off the consistency, there's still most of that stuff. We try really hard to make sure it's not time sensitive. Like it can live in its own independent bubble of, we're not talking about something that happened on July 12th, 2021 or something like that.
We will be putting the Last of Us spoilers,
but it can still live in its own bubble.
Yeah, it's
like
its
you
own
could
bubble.
you could watch it on your own time, and you listen to that on your own time. So it lives in this nice cohesive little bubble, as well as just interesting topics in general, like whether it's E3 memories or how this started
for March too. So
yeah, so whenever those come up, you just need to send those to me in Discord so that I can remember that you sent them, or you can just type them out. So.
Yeah, the next one you'll have to prepare for. The one after The Last of Us, you'll have to prepare
God.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be like Fantasy Critic.
Alrighty. All right, so with that said, we appreciate you guys hanging out on stream if you were here. Thanks for a couple subs that got dropped and viewers. Please consider subbing to us, even if you're listening to us. Just go to the Twitch page on your phone, search us, click subscribe. If you've already done it once with your Amazon account, it should just work and let you use the Prime subscription. It does not auto-renew, so please consider checking that out. And then, following is free. Following on Twitter, liking on Facebook, joining the Discord server. Those are all things that are free. Joining the Facebook group, those are free. Reviewing, sharing the show, those are all things that are free, and it would just help grow our content, and we would greatly appreciate it. So, and we also have a Teespring store. You can check that out. The link is in the show note for that. Somebody sent me a picture the other day of buying a hoodie. I'm like, I need to think about buying something else from there. So, but other than that, you got anything else, Michael?
No. We'll see what happens with the drama next week.
All right. I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick.